Hello everyone, this is Stefan at Lush and Salty Aquariums. We're looking at 3 of my desktop aquariums. Actually, they are the 3 desktop aquariums. I only have 3. There's only so much room on my desk. But I put 3 small nano tanks on this desk. None of them are younger than 2 years old, although I've made various changes and rearranges, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Let's start with the ADA Nano Cube. Such a beautiful little aquarium, so full of life and biodiversity. I've got moss in and out, emerged, immersed. I've got bokeh plants, those simple stem plants that are growing out from the back and over. There's a piece of spiderwood that anchors the thing. You see the hanging roots from frogbit and duckweed, and then this incredible colony of Anubias petite. That's probably $200 worth of plants right there. And then I've got some crypts. That's what these kind of stemmed variety, I forget what they're called. Japanese clover, which is just really easy. You just kind of move it around, stick it in the ground, let it float. Tons of cherry shrimp occupy this tank. You see a pygmy hasbrosus, some ram's horn snails, what's left of Monte Carlo. I'm afraid the light and lack of CO2 pretty much doomed the Monte Carlo, but I don't care because I'm really digging this effect. Now in this tank are a couple of few fish. I don't see them anymore, and I guess I'm okay with that. I know they're happy, they're in there. A few ruby tetras, maybe a couple male endlerfish, but right now it's essentially a planted tank with cherry shrimp. Let's take a look at it from top down. I'll move this beautiful little light. Look, you can see that. Pretty cool, huh? This is a really simple hang-on back filter. They're like less than $10, and I just have biomedia in there. I wash all that off with tank water every few weeks, and that's about it, and do some water changes. But this tank is pretty self-sufficient. I should trim it, but I don't want to because I really love the way it looks, and the shrimp are super red and big and reproducing. I don't know why fix it if it ain't broken. You see my own ecosystem, lemon heads and various paraphernalia, kind of a shit show, but in here, really beautiful. Now, much more low tech is this jar aquarium. It has a lovely little like holder. This is a crate and barrel or container store setup. Less than $20 for both of those pieces. And inside of it were a few endlers, but now there's quite a few. So I net a few of those and put them elsewhere. Sometimes I feed the babies to my saltwater fish. I'm sorry if I just do that. It's live food, right? And then there's a simple like $12 nano light. It can barely cut through all these house plants where I put cuttings into here, and their roots are now part of the aquascape. You can see I took a piece of bamboo and put that simple lily plant, or wandering Jew I think it's called, wrapped it with a rubber band and just stuck the stick in the ground, and that emerges the plant, and the roots will grow, the stick can stay, it's okay. I get a lot of endlers in here. The only filtration is an air stone and a shit ton of plants, right? And the air bubbler, you can barely even see it in here. Endlers are easy, obviously. There's a super pregnant female. And the males, if I could take a bunch of these females out, I suppose I could by just using a siphon. But, you know, like I said, I tend to sort of let things go maybe a little longer than I should, but the effect is pleasing to me, and the fish, I never have dead fish. So over here, this tank did have a few issues. I lost the crypts in the back, so I replaced it with a clump of this guppy grass, essentially occupying the midground and the foreground that used to be with crypts, a plant like that. it died off. That can happen. There's a lot of tannins in this tank, which may have affected the light source getting to the crypts. Crypts are not great in dark tanks. Well, they are and they aren't. They actually do good in low light, but for whatever reason, this tank, they were doing marvelous, and then they just sort of faded and died. But the Anubias, another $100 clump, doing super good. And this fun piece of driftwood kind of has this neat flat space. The shrimp can kind of hoover around it, slide up and down, and you can see how clean the gravel is. So it's not like this is a dirty tank. The dingy colored water is the tannins from that piece of driftwood. Even after 2 years in a small tank like this, it quickly gets brown, which is not unhealthy. I would rather it be crystal clear. So occasionally I put in a simple floss and charcoal thing. That one did the trick for about 3 days, and now I essentially either need to replace it or do nothing. And right now I'm doing nothing. I'm making a video. So I've got the Good Luck Lucky Bamboo. That's definitely been rooted, although I don't know how far those roots are going in there. But it's growing and kind of spreading. They're super slow growers, which is good, because unlike pothos, which can just completely vine out, which is awesome too, this one you can anchor a nano tank and pretty much know what you're going to have for the long term. I do use CO2 in this tank, which kind of bums me with regard to the death of the crypts. But sometimes you just get in the life cycle of your aquarium. I mean, there's old tank syndrome, and that's talked about a lot on YouTube, but I kind of just keep going with it and making some changes. The fish in here, by the way, are what's left of a school of gold neons. There's 4 of them, and they seem pretty happy. There's one there. I guess I could have a bigger tank. When I got them, they were super small, and I had a few more. That's what's left of them, and like a lot of my tanks, I'm kind of letting the fish sort of go through their life cycle, and then I'm going to make some big decisions about what I want to do. I certainly don't want more endlers. I've got plenty of those in other tanks. I'm kind of regretting that. But the gist of these tanks is sort of the overall effect, which I think is really beautiful. I've got an olive green wall with a little bit of a fun art collection here, my junk masterpieces. That's the best one there. Here you see me back in the day, maybe a little worse for wear, but with hair. And it's my desk, right? I do my work here. I've got, you know, all kinds of stuff. You see masks, you see Diet Coke, you see some old advertising awards, just stuff from my life. But now it's all about these aquariums. I'm glad I have a wife who's super tolerant, because I've got a lot of fish tanks, but this is my space, and I do as I see fit, and my wife's okay with it. The kids love it, and you know, especially in a pandemic, a hobby like this really was awesome. So with or without the world strife, there's nothing like tropical fish keeping. Always keep your hands in the tank. Ciao for now.